Hey everybody, it's me, Gregory Mannarino. How are you today? It's Thursday, October 11th, 2018. Before we even get started, I'm going to ask you for a favor. If you believe anything I have covered here is important and people should know, please share this video. Because there is stuff going on here that boggles the mind, and I really want to try to put a perspective on that. So let's start off with this briefly. As I am doing this video blog, stocks are about flat. Although earlier today, the market's only been open for about a half of an hour. Stocks were down triple digits. There's a lot of bond buying going on right now. Bond market is being propped up. When the bond market gets propped up, you know what happens. I mean, it's the number one dynamic on this market. Bonds get bought, rates drop, and cash flows into the stock market. This is the environment that has been going on now for over a decade, with the Federal Reserve artificially suppressing interest rates. Again, this is a deliberately created environment of risk, which has inflated a stock market bubble, a housing bubble along with it on the back of the debt bubble. You all know this if you follow this work like the back of your hand. So let's talk about yesterday's market sell-off real quick. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell over 800 points yesterday. Got a lot of people shook up. I've been explaining to you for the longest time. As a matter of fact, the day before yesterday, right before the big sell-off, I had said in a video blog that this market needs a dose of reality. I was glad to see that sell-off because the market is so twisted and so disconnected from anything that is real because of this environment of fakery. Federal Reserve artificially suppressing rates for now and over an entire decade. It's not just the Fed. Every single world central bank is doing the same thing at the behest of their leader. Now, let's talk again about why this market sold off yesterday. This was a confidence issue. When President Donald Trump had said that he was upset that the Federal Reserve was raising rates, this rattled the confidence in the market. That's the only driving factor here that continues to push stocks higher. Is confidence that it'll just continue going that way, despite what reality might be. I mean, we have valuations that are in bubble territory. This is no secret. Even the mainstream is talking about this. It's incredible. Now, when President Trump made that statement that the Federal Reserve is raising rates too fast, he wished they wouldn't, what happened? Bam! Stocks fell off of a cliff yesterday. Again, he rattled the confidence of the market. Notice that word, I'm using it on purpose, confidence, but that's the truth. It is confidence that drives the markets. Confidence that they'll work. Valuations don't matter. Earnings don't matter. Forward guidance doesn't matter. When you have a world central bank, all world central banks, that continue to inflate and inflate and inflate. And why are they inflating? Because their product is debt. You know that. That's the only product of world central banks. The more debt they can flood the world with, the stronger they become. Period. Now again, going back to President Trump, making that statement, market sold off very hard. Now, this is shocking to me to a certain degree. After the market sell-off yesterday, President Trump, pay attention to this, started up with his rhetoric again about how the Federal Reserve is raising rates too fast. He doesn't want them to raise rates. We're talking about, let's talk about what's going on here. Okay, raising rates too fast. The Federal Reserve has raised the federal funds rate, the overnight rate, the short end of the curve, a fraction of 1%, 25 basis points. It's a fraction of 1%. It's unbelievable. And again, it's the short end of the curve. So President Trump yesterday came out again saying, you know what? This is his words. The Federal Reserve has gone loco. The Federal Reserve, and this is very, very disturbing to me, raised rates last month, the 26th of last month. And if you recall, when the Federal Reserve announced that they were raising the federal funds rate 25 basis points, stocks went higher. Okay? I explained to you exactly how this would play out before it did. And that's exactly what happened. It seems that President Trump must have forgotten that the Federal Reserve raised rates last month. And what did we get, like a delayed reaction in the stock market that just happened to play out all in one day yesterday? President Trump is deliberately misleading the people here. And this bothers me. Again, I am not an anti-Trump person. I don't care who sits in that White House. I voted for the man. Candidate Trump was a lot different than President Trump. I've covered this too. But for him to come out and now blame the Federal Reserve that raised rates last month for the sell-off yesterday is baffling to me. He's making it seem to the American people and the people of the world, but the American people, because they are the most dumbed down at this point, that the Fed is raising rates every single day. Absolutely, that's not true. Again, the Federal Reserve raised the federal funds rate the 26th of last month, and then all of a sudden yesterday we get this big sell-off, and he wants you to believe that it's because of the Fed? No. He did it by rattling the confidence of the market. Not only did he do it, what he will not tell you, and I've covered this at length, this is China that's dumping our debt. China has not been buying U.S. debt now for a long time since these trade wars have started. Now, we need other countries around the world to buy our debt. China is the largest holder of U.S. debt other than the Federal Reserve. They are pulling the strings here with regard to our bond market. And it's rattling the stock market. But he will not tell you that. President Trump will not tell you that what we are seeing here in the market is a direct result of the trade war. Okay? Nobody wins here. There are degrees of losing. Period. But what really bothers me to the core is, again, he's trying to blame this on the Fed right now. This is his guy he put there. This is Powell. It just seems that President Trump, whenever somebody in his administration, he always looks for scapegoats. You ever notice that? Have you noticed that? The Federal Reserve here, in my opinion, and I am sure you would agree, needs to normalize rates. President Trump wants cash flowing into the stock market because he hasn't been able to say, hey, you know what, everyone? Our economy is so strong. We're hitting another record high every day. Well, if our economy is really as strong as we are being led to believe, and that is profoundly debatable, okay, whether or not our economy is as strong as we're being told it is, our economy could easily or should easily be able to handle fractional increases to the federal funds rate. This has nothing to do. The Federal Reserve raising rates has zero to do with what's going on here in the market immediately. Down the line, absolutely. Our market can handle this. There's no doubt about it. But this has nothing to do with it. I mean, it just baffles me. Did the president forget again that the Fed raised rates last month? And all of a sudden we get a sell-off yesterday and he's blaming the Fed? This is him and his policy right now. And he won't tell you that this is China directly messing with our bond market. And in the escalating trade war, is this going to lead to something else? I don't know. I'll leave that up to you to decide. But either one, our president really does not understand how the markets work. And I believe that's profoundly true. All he cares about is pushing cash into the market to use it as a distraction. Oh, look at the stock market. It's higher today. It's all he cares about, especially with the midterms coming up here. He will not tell you the truth. And I can't believe that some people are actually falling into this. Some people are believing because he's leading them to believe that the Fed is raising rates every single day. No, that's not the case. Fed raised rates last month. Yesterday's sell-off was because of that? Are you kidding me? You know, maybe he's relying on people just being so dumbed down that, again, they fall into this. It's unbelievable. It really is. Anyway, I hope this makes sense to you. I really do. And I know it does. If you follow this blog and you have just a couple of functioning brain cells, this should all really make sense to you. But we are being misled here on a grand scale about what's going on here in these markets. And Unless the truth gets out, people are going to just follow along and believe this is true. We need to normalize. We cannot have a Federal Reserve that has been artificially suppressing rates now for an entire decade. And I've explained to you, this market is in la-la land with regard to valuations. It's in bubble territory. It needs to correct. The president does not want that to happen. He wants the stock market bubble to grow larger, obviously, because he keeps, now he's, oh, this is the Fed's fault. This is the Fed's fault. No, it's not the Fed's fault. And the Fed is doing, in my opinion right now, what they should be doing. Because again, if we really are in an economic recovery here, no, it's not a recovery. Erase that. It was a recovery under Obama. We went from a recovery to a boom overnight. And this is totally false. The only thing that has went into a boom is the stock market, which has vaulted higher under this guy, for which I explained to you the day he was elected would happen. I said this was a game changer. I'm on public record saying that. I think I know what I'm talking about when it comes to these markets, and I know if you follow my blog, you would agree. With that said, before I go any more off the deep end here, because I am upset hearing this rhetoric, nonsense, and frank lies come out of this man's mouth. This has nothing to do with the Federal Reserve. Oh, it's a delayed reaction. Oh, it's a delayed reaction. Really? I mean, if you believe that, then you are the most gullible person that has walked on the face of the earth. Anyway, please share this video. Get it out there. Let people understand that they are being lied to in a grand way. See you at the end of the day.